Sure.
We are live. Welcome, guys, to episode 25 of the weekly. Apologize, it was set on private, so if you didn't get any notifications, jump in.
Yeah, baby, we live.
Thank you very much for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome to the weekly. This is where we do a weekly roundup of all the tech news that has transpired this week. And with me are my usual hosts. Starting off is Mr. Juan Bagnell from Some Gadget Guy. How's it going, man?
Hey, going well. I'm back. I have internet again. I feel like we can talk about some cool tech stuff.
Cool, and I can see you're spawning that brand new mug.
Yes, you know, if you two would like to sport your own Megapickle mug, they are available in black and green. When I'm out of water in this mug, I'll switch over to the green one. So I'm very
nice. So you have both of them. Okay.
Yeah, I got the proofs in. I had to make a couple tweaks from this actual mug, so they're slightly changed. But the page is now live, and they're on sale over the weekend. So,
cool. All right, guys, check it out. And of course, the one and only Warren Bowman from BW1.com. How's it going, man?
All right, let's do this.
Cool. Let us do this. Speaking of just doing it, before we even move forward, do we have a uselessness? I know I haven't actually checked for uselessness. Uselessnesses.
Depending on our first topic, it could be considered useless. Somebody's on the unemployment line.
Yeah, so I guess so. Yeah, call it that. So apparently Samsung leaked their own promotional video for the Galaxy Note 9. And it wasn't like an image leak, which is usually fine. This was like straight up just, the phone has this, the phone has that. And so now we know pretty much everything about the device. First of all, like you said, the uselessness probably pertains to whoever did this might be out of work, or maybe this is intentional. Maybe because they have one special announcement that, that will tie, and most people already know this stuff. But from the video, we saw that they talked about 1 terabyte of storage. Very interesting. Cool. That is cool.
Yeah, but didn't the last phone was able to support 2 terabyte cards?
No, not cards. They just said 1 terabyte of storage.
Yeah, but I don't think that's in the phone. I think from that video that they're talking about an SD card, because the video immediately shows an SD card going in.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it's 512 and 512 SD, maybe, or maybe there's a package where they sell
those. The chances of us getting a 1 terabyte phone, that's not like $3,000.
It's not completely outside the realm of possibility. I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm taking that off the phone and putting that in my computer. What the hell I need 1 terabyte in my phone for?
Well, but that's just it. Is I think this is going to be a play. I don't believe we're going to get a Note with a built-in terabyte of storage. I think you're right, Warren. I think it is going to be support for terabyte cards, and that maybe Samsung will have an offering for that because they've been crushing the flash memory market of late.
Exactly.
So there could be some sort of like special add-on or special, combo pack that you could buy or something like that. But let's not forget that they're going to be pushing DeX hard with the Note, and that having a terabyte on something that can do a fairly good job of replicating a desktop experience starts to make a lot of sense.
And here's where I think the caveat is that they announced the Tab S4. The Tab S4 has DeX built in.
Yeah.
And the only way to use it, you don't need a dock anymore. You just need a cable directly to your TV or monitor. So that's probably what they might do with the Note 9 as well, having DeX built in there, and they increase the storage, whether it's a terabyte, whether it's 512, whether it's a combo. But then they're now saying that, as a user, this is something you can take with you to do a lot of work, and you can store as much as you want.
I mean, the frustrating thing is, especially after using Huawei's implementation of desktop mode, I think the DeX dock is an evolutionary dead end, and I hope they would just go to some kind of HDMI cable.
No. That's what they have with the Tab S4.
No, that's what they have for the Tab S4, but that's what I want on the Note.
Well, no, yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure they're still going to be pushing DeX dock just for all the people, for the few people that likely invested in that ecosystem last year. But
so
yeah,
hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm watching the video again, and it's just the one with Snoop Dogg dancing in it. It's just hilarious. It's such a troll.
But it could be a really interesting idea to combine like again, like we always want to know what is it that they're going to offer alongside the phone. 360-degree cameras, that didn't really seem to spark quite as much interest. We've looked at them play with VR headsets for Gear VR, but for a Note user, like pairing that phone with a terabyte flash storage drive or a terabyte memory card makes a lot of sense. So I'm hoping that that's something they'll take seriously for productivity users.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that might be the play here. I mean, we know it's not now. It's got a 4,000 milliamp battery, so that's great. Some of the rumors on the S Pen is that you can use it as a pointer, which to me implies DeX, because you can't use it as a pointer on a computer unless you. Yeah, I guess this is Bluetooth. You compare it to a PC, but I'm thinking if you walk into an office, you have a presentation, you plug in your HDMI cable via USB Type-C, and you pull up your PowerPoint and you just pull out your S Pen and you start pointing at the screen. You could do that too as well. So most likely they're looking at this as a full-fledged business or productivity implementation. So that could be what that pushes, which is why maybe heads didn't fully roll for the leak of this video. I'm just guessing. What do you think, Warren?
I think there's a good chance it might be a controlled leak where it's they put it out there just to start some buzz because maybe the Note 9 wasn't having as much attention on the internet and the interwebs as they may have liked, and they might have just put something out there and just to get some more people talking. But I think there's going to definitely be the major thing's going to be pushing DeX and getting that forward, and I think obviously pushing HDMI cable with that as well. But I also think pushing the dock is important, and I think the dock's important because I think that gives a more desktop-like experience. Because while you can just plug in an HDMI cable and work from a monitor, you can with the docking station you get the ability of plugging in a keyboard, a mouse. You get a network port with it as well too. I wouldn't be surprised if this game is tight. I'm sorry, if the Note 9 shows off DeX and shows off Fortnite and bundles that together into what? Yeah, into more of a gaming experience on Android. It's probably one of the reasons why we'll talk about it later. Why Fortnite going outside of the normal boundaries of delivering their app. But I think it's in a position where on-phone features aren't necessarily like the actual design, hardware, and all that stuff is just kind of is what it is. It's probably going to be the same as it was in the Note 8, as in the Note 7, but the big things are going to be pushing that software experience of DeX, while everything else is still the same. And I think giving people something in S Pen changes for those people that might not use DeX, but adding a pointer, maybe adding it as a camera shutter or something like that, or just some nice added features just for it. But I think the big thing here is going to be pushing DeX. It's going to be pushing. I remember they had that dock that has, what is it now? It has the DeX dock actually does wireless charging for the phone, and they have another.
Yeah, I saw that panel. Wild, by the way, at an Amazon event. So I mean, I shared that photo, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's here." I thought it was like a third party. I looked on it said Samsung. I was like.
So cool. that could be pretty interesting as to what that entails. I think the biggest innovative change hardware wise is that they're going to put the fingerprint sensor in the proper place that it should be on the phone, so you no longer smudge your camera and mess all that up.
So far it looks like that's going to make the phone look like Triclops, like the
definitely. I mean, sensor underneath. It'd be interesting to see, though. I think on the one hand, so here's the other question: is what do you think people are going to say? Because we know very well that on the one hand, we're going to have people talk about the fact that
I just read the fine print on the storage where there's going to be a 512 gigabyte model, and then that card is just going to be added onto it to make it 1 terabyte ready, sort of with that. So there's probably some promotional deal.
Yeah,
probably. I wouldn't be surprised that you get the DeX and all that stuff, and you probably spend something like $2,000 on the phone. and you get all this stuff with it.
But they're making the argument you spent $2,000 on this phone to be fully accessorized, and you might not need to ever travel with a laptop ever again, depending on your workload.
Yeah, definitely. And especially I got to use DeX on the Tab S4. Technically, you could call it the same internals, minus maybe the RAM, because it's that's 835. That was actually 835 processor. And the updates they've done to DeX, DeX feels like a desktop experience, which just from the last time I used it, maybe was like what 4 months ago. It feels much more improved, better optimized. Things load faster. I think they've done a good job there where you're right, Juan. If they say you get a Galaxy Note 9, you get it with 512 gigabytes of storage, 512 gigabyte SD card, either a DeX dock if you want, or the cable, maybe in that situation. You can do all the things you want to do on the road. I mean, like that's your productivity there. Good, plus the new S Pen features. You can type your documents, send your WordPress, your spreadsheets.
No, but I mean, like again,
you can handle your WordPress too.
You can handle your WordPress. That's what's been so encouraging over these last couple of years is watching mobile apps meet 80 to 90% of your desktop usage scenarios. Like again, I'm an Office kid. I like using Microsoft Office, and the mobile version still has a few things that I wish the desktop version of the program had. But it's so close. It is so close to giving me that complete Office experience, managing my spreadsheets, my charts, and then also writing scripts in Microsoft Word that I don't feel so compromised if I do work directly from a phone. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. So Samsung is making this play, and I think they're making it at the right time. We're all ready for the phone to not just be this one solitary block computing experience unique to itself. We want to migrate these data, these services, these apps, these programs, these experiences, and being able to easily throw to different screen sizes, to different displays, to different headsets, to projectors, things like that, is going to be a good selling point in favor of this. I just hope that the Note doesn't get killed by a negative tech fan sentiment that somehow it should have been more exciting when the purpose of this phone is no longer the only big screen phone on the market. The purpose of this phone is now niche productivity, in kind of the same way that a BlackBerry can get pooped all over by tech fans. I think the Note now needs to occupy its own specific little fiefdom of getting work done. And if you just want, a bigger screen, then you can go to the Galaxy S Plus, and then everyone's happy.
Sam, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. The Note doesn't need to be exciting. The Note needs to be functional. That's exactly what Samsung is doing. I think that's what Samsung's doing with this particular device. The video that came out really doesn't make it any more exciting than anything else. The only thing exciting about that video was
Snoop Dogg.
Really, which is the yellow S Pen. That's really was the biggest thing. Oh wow, look at that!
From a design standpoint.
But from an internal standpoint, looking at what they did with the Tab S4, now you're beginning to see, okay, we can integrate DeX into a device in a way that you literally just flip it on. That's something that's cool. How are they going to implement DeX with the new device? Is it going to be just a cable you plug to your computer, or is it going to be, something more cumbersome? I'm hoping to make it more simplified. Are you going to have a phone with enough battery life to take you through the day if you're using DeX? Are you going to have a phone? Like, there are a lot of questions that you can ask that, that will show you the improvement that Samsung is making in this phone without actually being all exciting. So if someone's looking for an exciting device, they will be disappointed. But if someone's looking for a device that, kind of takes them that much closer to getting rid of a tablet, a laptop, and just traveling simply with a phone and being able to do everything on a phone, that will be really interesting, because you can already edit video on a phone. You can capture video on a phone. Are we getting to the point where you can literally be a creator on this, on this Galaxy Note device? Can you take it, record video, take pictures, edit that video and then upload it to a sharing site. Who knows? That's a great question to ask. So I'm not totally excited to see the device, but I'm looking forward to seeing exactly where Samsung takes this device.
Okay.
What I'd find interesting is I wonder what productivity suite they're going to promote on the DeX part of it. Are they going to promote more of the Google Docs and Google Drive, or are they going to promote more of the Microsoft apps?
I think they had Office on the, if I'm not mistaken, well, at least the Tab S4. Actually, I could probably check it out now, but
I mean, it makes sense that they would probably. I don't think it's a bridge too far for Note, for anyone who might be shopping the Note, for them to have that conversation like, well, it's got Google Docs out of the box, and then if you buy it from a Microsoft store, we'll also pre-install Microsoft Office Suite. I don't think that's going to scare off. Like featuring one or the other is going to scare off any potential Note buyers. I think they'll get it. Like this phone is going to be more than capable for whatever Office document PDF solution that you might want to run.
Yeah, man, I hate to mess up the the order of the show, but I think a great. I think the most shocking thing around this announcement was actually the Fortnite announcement. Right?
Yeah.
Well, there's no announcement yet.
Well, it's kind of...
it's a non-announcement.
Yeah, it's a non-announcement, right? Because Samsung is saying that this phone is going to be powerful enough for you to basically play Fortnite on. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm pretty sure, any current generation Android phone with a decent amount of RAM would be.
Oh, no, any 845 device phone will play. Plus,
but
yeah, so
I think the big thing that's coming out here is basically Fortnite going, we're not going to use the Google Play Store. And for devices that have come out recently, with all these security features, with all this maturity in Android, we finally, get to a point where we're pretty comfortable that if we get something from the Play Store, it's going to be secure, it's going to meet some sort of standard, it's going to be maintained in some way by Google, and then for Epic to come out and say, oh, we're not going to use this architecture, we're just going to throw it out there, and you can go and install it yourself. I think that takes away from the security features that a lot of these phones have put in place.
Nah, I disagree. It's not a security. It's not even on that plane. It's very simple. Google has a loophole that says you can install applications manually. And what do you call it again? Epic has already loses 30% from Apple. They don't want to lose 30% from Google.
And I get that they don't want the 30% loss from Google, but I think it's also going in a very dangerous direction, where Google has an ecosystem with the Play Store that basically says, really, the barrier to entry on the Play Store is not that big a deal. But I guess the 30% that Fortnite is looking at, or Epic is looking at, is basically just they want to keep more money for themselves. Therefore, they're willing to create a situation.
But Sam, remember, this is Epic. Remember, right?
Before we even get there, look at what happened to Pokemon Go. Before Pokemon Go was basically released on all the Android devices, there was a situation where people were going out and trying to install Pokemon Go on their own, and they went to very shady places to get this to get the Pokemon Go. I'm sorry, not the APK, but I guess the software into their phones, and some people actually ended up basically putting malicious software on their phones for that reason.
I do agree.
It's going to happen again because of the situation.
No, I don't think so, because then Pokemon Go didn't give people any instructions. They came out and said, go to our website, sign up, and download. It's different from Pokemon. Pokemon just said, it was like people were looking for it. There was no instructions then. This, they've come out and clearly said, we ain't going through Google. If you want to go and download it, go to www.fortnite.com. Sign up. You have to actually sign up, then download. So they still have a level of security there to say, now if you do something else and you download a terrible or malicious version, that is your fault. So,
hey, you know who's going to be playing Fortnite? These aren't going to be like the people like you and me, our age. These are going to be like the high school young kids.
No. You know who plays Fortnite? Everybody.
No, no, no.
They
no,
do.
no.
Look, I have
don't want to
friends
believe that
posting.
because I suck so bad at Fortnite. If everyone was playing Fortnite, I would be as good as everyone else. So no, not everyone plays Fortnite. Okay, that's my thinking. It's weird and wrong, but it's still my thinking.
But you know, like Sam, I mean, like kind of to that point about, you know, buyer beware and stuff like that. I think you're right. I mean, we should be concerned about some of these business practices, but I also think developers, you know, they're not altruists. They're putting out the product in the way they want to put out the product, and so they might leave some people out in the cold. But if they don't want to do business with Google, if they don't want to do business with Apple, and they still want to reach a certain sect of consumers, then that's their prerogative. That's their right. If consumers are going to go out of their way to engage in you know, doing some shady downloading to try and get those products, I mean, that sucks if people are left out and they want to be able to participate. But that's either going to be a positive for the developers of Fortnite, or it's going to be, there's going to be blowback and they'll eventually change their business model. It's just one of those things. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of companies try and find ways of getting directly to consumers. And I think this is one of the first prongs. And I think gaming is going to be a big deal for this. Is you know, there are a ton of games that I still play on my phones that have nothing to do with the Google Play Store, because I've been using services like Humble Bundle. I like supporting developers that way. I like buying apps that way, and it's okay if I have to sideload an APK to do that. So I think this is going to be an evolving topic that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of years. Is how do we break free from walled gardens? You know, this kind of plays into some of the sentiment, especially in the EU, with you know, Google getting that fine over some of their business practices. And this is just the tip of the spear. If a popular property like Fortnite can show that they can be successful without the Google Play Store, I think that's actually a boon for consumers long term. Even if it makes the entire app marketplace a little hairier, a little more confusing, and a little more difficult to navigate, more choice and more competition will actually be a good thing to make Google and Apple step up their respective games. But I'll tell you, man, when I have Android games on Steam, goodbye Google Play. I'm you know, like, if you want to talk about a monopoly on gaming in my household, I think we've got a couple Activision titles for our PS4, and everything else has been Steam.
Yeah, no, Steam literally is the only way I play. Steam and Blizzard, the Battle.net app. They're the only two ways I really play games on my PC. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. And to that point, BF Lloyd, basically said the same thing. It's like Steam basically uses its own payment service. You can still go on Steam and pay through Steam. So why not just set up something that way? You basically install a free app from Epic on your phone, and then you can install the you know, the Fortnite onto your device. From there, like, you can pay for Fortnite on there. And
well, Sam, that's way too damn reasonable.
Oh,
okay?
well. Yeah,
that's too smart, too well thought out, too consumer friendly, and too reasonable. We cannot have that. Annabong, what are you doing? What kind of commentary are we trying to run on this podcast?
Yeah. Sorry about the logic there.
What WTH?
Yeah, I apologize about the logic. I was trying to set up this guy here.
I have a new toy I'm playing with, so
there was something I was going to showcase off this, and I can't remember, but yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, too much logic.
Well, I gave it 6 months before it shows up on the Play Store after they got their initial downloads and initial numbers met. And then now it's available on both. And then we don't even talk about this anymore. Everybody, now people do timed exclusives outside the Play Store.
Well, and also, I don't think that this is a bad plan from a logistics standpoint. Support a very narrow band of Android devices, see how that goes, see how crossplay might work. Like, if it's going to be Fortnite mobile and you have Fortnite players on Android versus iOS, I don't know what their plans are. I'm totally speculating.
You have to say something. We can't see you when you just wave your hand.
I just remember what I was checking for. It's Excel. Excel is installed here. And Word and OneDrive.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where we want to go from there. But my point was still, I don't necessarily think it's a bad play in Android land to see if the gaming experience is high quality, you start off with a handful of devices and you migrate out from there. Again, like just the fact that so many people are going to have undies and twists at the launch of this, if it really is like a Note exclusive, this is one of those things. I don't see any problems here.
Pre-installed and goes to the Samsung Play Store,
and it comes with a copy of your favorite U2 album. Woo!
Yeah. Oh boy.
Anyway,
uninstall.
It's gonna be in the Samsung gaming store, right in the center, pre-installed like Singala OS.
Yes.
It's already installed.
Anyway, let's move on to other news. Motorola made a big announcement this week, which was more of an announcement for Verizon and Qualcomm than Motorola. They announced the Moto Z3, which is a mid-tier device, but the more important thing is they announced a 5G Moto Mod, which will, of course, work on Verizon's wireless service. What was interesting, even though they didn't state that, I did hear from a couple of people that technically Motorola's first 5G phone is from 2016 because the Moto Mod will work with previous devices. It might need a software update. That's pretty much it. But what do you guys think about the announcement from Motorola? I mean, it was, to me, it was a little weird just because there was no flagship device. It was centered around the Moto Mod, which is great, but there is no wireless service yet for 5G. So it's nice that they're thinking ahead, but it would be nice to me. I felt that it would be nice if they had at least a flagship phone. Then you can say, yeah, it works with any other Moto Mod device, but our, big, super sexy phone for the year is the device it will work with. Juan, what do you think?
So I'm going to have to parrot what I said during the Z2 launch. Like many companies, and HTC and LG should rightfully be included in this kind of a conversation, Motorola has done an objectively terrible job of explaining their product lineup this year and of delivering that information to consumers in a way that makes sense. Every year, we've had some expectation on what a Motorola flagship phone should resemble, and their branding, literally the label they slap on the box, makes that conversation with consumers more difficult. And the Z3, I think, is a perfect example of that, where the Z2, the Z, these have been their premium offerings. They're top of the line. Let's compete with the Galaxy offerings. And the Z3 is a stab at the mid-range when they already have a glut of phones kind of occupying the entry-level and mid-tier market. So I get what they're trying to do, but explaining this to consumers out there is going to be terrifically difficult. And I think this is a compelling price point for what they're offering, especially the sort of peace of mind if you don't want to be left out of the 5G conversation in another year. Mm-hmm. That's great. But I think this is also maybe reflective of the fact that we might be getting to the end of the Moto Mod life cycle. Mm-hmm. Remember, we were only talking about 2 to 3 generations of compatibility when this experiment started. And so they might not be wanting to put a top tier premium phone out there if they're getting ready to change the Moto Mod spec, or if they're looking to abandon modular smartphones. I just think that they still haven't answered that question. What makes a Moto Mod better than just plugging an accessory into your USB port? For 360 camera, I've got a USB 360 camera. Batteries, it's less convenient, but a battery pack can charge any phone and won't be rendered obsolete if you switch from a Motorola to another device as opposed to a battery Moto Mod. Projector, well, you could have a USB-C HDMI output to connect directly to any TV or projector display that you want.
Polaroid, how about that?
Well, that's just it. Is like, if we had a few more of those, or what I desperately wanted, I'm kind of mimicking TK Bay and I shot a little podcast. So if you catch the TK Bay podcast when he puts it out, I repeat a lot of this information here too. But where was the Motorola that gave us the lap dock with the Atrix? Right. So
that was years ago.
No. Somebody stole it.
No. Think about it. back
Somebody
then,
in his room has it, and he jacked
phones were way too underpowered to really pull that off. But they put out a phone with a USB port and an HDMI port that slotted into a laptop-style cradle. Now, who else just recently copied that design for a showpiece was Razer. So why not use the Moto Mod magnetic interface to make your phone the touchpad in the dock of a laptop? Give yourself a battery, some really great specs, you know, better cooling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then use that to power a laptop form factor. And you compete directly against DeX with a product that is ridiculously compelling. That is super compelling in an age where phones are starting to morph into other things. And we don't have that Motorola, which is really disappointing because under Lenovo, that should be the two companies most willing to give us those kinds of flexible, foldable, experimental designs. Make a tablet cradle. You know, give yourself a Microsoft Surface style computer where you slap your phone to the back of this tablet screen and it folds out with a keyboard and a dock and a stand, and you can use it like that. That would be perfect.
There you go.
And again, Asus used to play with this way back in the day with the Transformers and the pad phones and the phone pads. We could totally do that. Motorola should be the company launching us there. And Moto Mod is a perfect interface to achieve that kind of device ecosystem. But instead, we got a glut of battery packs, speakers, Alexa, and a projector. That really wasn't the full realization of what this could do. And now I fear we're getting to the end of that product life cycle.
Warren?
I don't know with Motorola. I remember we were talking about this a little bit. Remember before the announcement you were headed out there, I was like, I'm not sure what they stand for and what they're trying to do right now. This is interesting. They're throwing a mid-ranger out there. They have these suite of phones they put out. They throw a lot of the low-end ones out there that work very well in Latin America and stuff like that. But it just gives me this vibe that they're, I don't want to say they're not trying to compete, but it seems like they're, I guess, content in the position that they're in, and they're just going to stay in that position. They're not looking to offer the flagship level. I think they're maybe looking to probably next year move away from the Moto Mods, probably to save them some cost and production or something like that. And maybe this is the route that they go. It's just that producing the high-end mid-range phone that they put out for whatever carrier specifically will buy it from them is probably the way that they'll go. And probably they'll throw some stuff on Project Fi as well too. But it seems like that's the position that they're in. I mean, Juan kind of said it best kind of about the Moto Mods and such. It's sort of Motorola is not being sort of that company that would take the chance on a lot of those things and making sort of innovative things such as docks and docking stations, keyboards, and such they could do with that. I remember the Asus phone pad. I remember bringing that up. I would love to see them try that again now, given the current climate of where software is for smartphones now these days. But you remember when we went and saw the Atrix the first time, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And what did we say when we saw that thing?
I can't remember what I said. That was a long time ago.
Oh man, it's basically we kind of said we thought it was a great idea. It had all the hardware there, but the software wasn't there at all for it. And it
yeah,
seems
that's
like,
true.
And the other issue, they had so many different variants of that thing. Because remember, they had the Atrix line, but then they had another line that was specific for Sprint, and then another one specific for.
Was it the Photon? Was
Photon?
that?
Yes, the Photon line, which was a variant of that other line, and they kind of just went all about.
Well, that was also the days where you would have a Galaxy S, then a Galaxy S Captivate, and a Galaxy S Epic, and I forget what the T-Mobile Galaxy S was.
They kept the name. They were the only ones that would keep the original name.
Oh, that's right, and that's right. They wouldn't mess with the phones.
Yeah. That was AT&T. That was all AT&T.
Well, it was Verizon, Android, and all of that too.
But that's been one branding that they've mostly kept on Motorola, and have kind of put it on a couple of other phones here and there in the early days. But in the last, I would say the last 5 years, if it's a Droid branded phone, it's typically a Motorola product that they kind of pushed with that. So they've kept that. This was an AT&T that I remember in 1 year had the Samsung Galaxy S2, had the Samsung Galaxy S2 4G LTE, had the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket 4G, some other EX Plus Alpha nonsense that they had with it. They were Street Fighting all their names for their phones, like all in like 1 year. And they were, and I think they had like the smaller variant and then the bigger variant and all those other things back then. It was kind of crazy. And at least with Samsung, they at least got to keep the Galaxy name, and I think that's one of the reasons why they even survived that whole thing, because everyone was doing that, and no one's really around that was doing those names like that outside of really just them, because LG really was in that game per se, getting on every carrier like that. But going back to Motorola, it's just, I don't know what to think of them. It's just like, it's like, we're here.
I mean, yeah,
that's it.
They are there in a certain respect, but a lot of companies are in that space right now, just there. And I think it's just indicative of the market that the traditional mobile companies have waned away. Motorola, HTC, LG,
Well,
and then moving on, just to skip one topic, Huawei is now number 2. That's what the market has shown, is that the Huawei's of the world, the Xiaomi's of the world, are the ones who are making that push to move to the next level. And these guys have taken steps back, whether it's design mistakes, whether it's marketing issues, whether it's also not looking at a bigger picture or taking risk, or there's so many things. There are many attributing factors to it. Some people will blame Google for Motorola's mess up. Some people will blame Lenovo as well. But the truth of the matter is that right now, a lot of Chinese manufacturers are looking at this as an advantage to say, boom.
Well, they just have such a manufacturing advantage because of location, and they just got so many unique advantages in Asia.
I don't think it's a manufacturing. It's not a manufacturing thing.
But that
LG's always been close.
Yeah.
Our problem with LG is marketing, right?
And where is LG?
No, but
and where is
it's not a matter of manufacturing at all. Where's Apple? Apple's number 3 in the world. They're a US-based company. It has nothing to do with that.
Well,
it's a matter of like, can you actually execute the things you want to execute? Even look at Google. Pixel doesn't sell that much, but they've done the marketing right to get the name out there. Again, like, I'm just saying that those companies have found ways to fuck up. Let's just call it what it is.
But for Motorola, though, I'm a little kind of optimistic, especially because of the Moto Mod. I am a huge fan of modular phones, of the whole the Aria, Project Aria type devices. And to me, this just shows why we need a device like that. Why we need a device where, if we know there's a 5G standard coming out in a few months or a few years, it's worth still buying a phone today that we know is going to be compatible in the future to these to this network. So if all I need to do is buy a module, swap it out, or buy a module and attach to it, that makes me feel more comfortable going with a particular manufacturer than just like sticking with a phone where, okay, a new device is out, a new feature or a new standard is out in a few months, and my phone is already obsolete. End of story. Mm-hmm. So I like that aspect of it. The phone itself, not so much, but the promise of where devices like the Moto Z would take us is really what kind of gives me a little bit of hope that maybe we'll finally see more devices that kind of become modular phones, a la Project Aria.
Yeah, true. And I think one of the benefits you also have with that mod is an extra battery. 5G signals, when you first get on a 5G network, we don't know what's going to be like. Will it drain your battery? Like, back in the day, remember when LTE started looking for a signal, the first LTE devices like the Thunderbolt were terrible with battery life. But then again, that's also older processors that were not very good for managing. So, but at least you have that with that. So we just have to wait and see. But I think Motorola needs to either tell us where they're going Are they going to continue with Moto Mods, like, you know, as Juan suggested, or is it something where they're going away from that? And this is like the last step for those people who had those devices to say, hey, at least this extends the life of your device. Could be that. All right, let's move on. Since I talked about Huawei, we might as well move to them as now the #2 smartphone manufacturer in the world. They passed Apple. In terms of numbers, 26%. Year-to-year growth was 22%, which is pretty big. Apple's year-to-year growth was 0. Yeah.
But they're $1 trillion company.
It's valuation, man. Whatever.
They're $1 trillion company, man. They sold all those phones. Oh, wait a minute. They sold
no. It's easy to be.
They sold less phones, but sold a more expensive phone.
No, it's easier to be. It's easier to be $1 trillion company when you're living the dongle life. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
It's like how for every iPhone I've had to review, I've had to replace the cables way more often than any Android. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is the year-to-year growth in China, by the way. Huawei had the highest at 22%. Oppo was -9%, Vivo -1%. Xiaomi was -10%. Others were -37%. So Apple actually was second at 0%, and Huawei has just been riding high like no tomorrow. Huawei is aiming to ship out 200 million smartphones. Now, here's the funny thing: that somebody made mention that, you know, maybe this proves that phones with notches do well, and I was like, no, it just means that Huawei has made these 2 phones in the last year with the Mate 10 and the P20 Pro that have really good cameras, really solid performance, a really good chipset in there. And it's just that they decided to throw in, you know, unibrows this year. So,
well, the other thing could be a lot of the Honor brand as well, too, considering what the target that hits. And they probably sell a lot. They probably sell a lot of their phone from the prior year once it becomes more readily available. Because usually when they launch a phone, it's at a certain price and they start having these deals and sales. And they're not the type that I think a lot of people look and say, I got to have this year's new hotness with it. I think a lot of people will say, oh, I'll get the Mate from before just to try these guys out. And then once they like it, they might then start to hitch themselves on the bandwagon going forward.
Sam?
Not really much I can say about it. Like, Apple has been on this trajectory for a while. Everyone else has been on this trajectory for a while. It's just really who was going to get there first. Apple got there first.
Oh, no, we're not talking about the trilogy. You just went straight to Apple.
No. Wait. I'm getting back to it. You know, it got there first. Now, when you look at, you know, what actually is going to drive growth over the next few years, then you start talking about Huawei. Then you start talking about Oppo. Then you start talking about all these other companies that aren't big names in the United States. So $1 trillion valuation aside, right? That's great news. That's great visuals. When it comes to what's going to last over the next few years, the Huawei's of the world, the Oppos of the world, the Xiaomi's of the world, that's where we should really be more focused. A growth of like a Q2 2018 growth of 26% over last year.
This is China shipments. We should highlight these as shipments from China.
But don't forget this. You might be saying this is just cheap shipments in China. Look at the number of.
Oh, I'm not saying
that 28% is this a huge number.
I'm not saying that that's cheap. I'm saying that we need to highlight that this isn't worldwide numbers. We should highlight what market we're talking about here. So
it's the China numbers. Exactly.
I'm trying to avoid fake news. Okay, I'm trying to avoid the getting called fake news.
Before just to harp on that Apple thing, just quickly here. This is from TechCrunch. I'm just going to share my screen. The greedy ways Apple got to 1 trillion. Free charging cables. Apple gives you that tiny.
I don't know how these cables dry out. I'm like, how do cables dry out?
They're drying cables. They're headphones that people use constantly.
We'll get to this. Like, can you not build lightning cables for the Macs that are a little sturdier? Number 2, and this picture proof right there. Number 2 is buried iTunes subscription cancellations. Once you cancel your Apple subscription or something, other service, you get roped in with a free trial. It's super easy. First click totally unlabeled generic circle with a blotch. Okay, it goes on, but you get the idea.
It's like a Douglas Adams rant.
Does
right there.
does that charge to your carrier automatically, or does that charge to your card automatically?
Whatever you have in
Whatever.
your iTunes
Yeah, you can
account,
set up
so
either.
you can PayPal, card, doesn't matter. Number 3, keyboard crap trap. We all know that one. And then number 4, killing affiliates fee blogs rely on. Apple benefits from a legion of blogs obsessing over its hardware and software, hyping up everything it sells. I could go on. You guys get the idea on that one. And then finally, what Juan mentioned, dongle hell.
Well,
They killed their affiliate fees.
I mean, I didn't read the whole thing, but yeah, it's pretty much.
I mean, I didn't even know they had an affiliate program. I wouldn't think they'd be.
you don't need to pay affiliate fees when you know if you release a new device and no one covers it, or a blog doesn't cover it, they automatically lose viewership.
Oh no! The affiliate is you pay Apple to be able to talk about Apple products, and then Apple makes money, and that's how they become $1 trillion company. It's an Apple affiliate program.
Yeah. Pretty much, but yeah, check it out from TechCrunch. I mean, it's also
thank you for laughing at that terrible joke, Sam. I really appreciate that.
I was trying to skip the joke, man.
I was like, you know what? The funny thing is that is kind of true, because all the people who do the reviews, how many of them are actually buying that device themselves? So they literally have to pay Apple to talk about Apple. It is kind of funny. Not good one. Good one.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to some other news. This was leaked that Google is developing a censored search engine for China. So Google looks like they're about to cave.
Oh wow! No, I read that. That's actually pretty bad. They're actually ending the App Store affiliates program in October.
Mm-hmm.
The blogs that talk about apps and things and feature things inside of there are now no longer going to be able to get affiliate earnings for recommending applications.
Yeah, dude. Like I said earlier, if you know that you put out a device,
well, this is pertaining to apps, not necessarily device. This is the apps that they're shutting down the affiliate link for. So when people are like recommending an app, or you're trying to get your app promoted, and you go out and you start an affiliate program or something like that, and you're like, well, you promote my app, you'll get 7 or 8 cents or whatever, per download or per click. That can add up to a lot, especially people that are like that talk about a lot of apps and stuff like that. I think they had that was a Touch Arcade, App Shopper,
and
something
that's
like
paid
that.
for by Apple. I would think it would be the app manufacturer, not Apple.
Well, I think the commission comes out of whatever the sales the app manufacturer makes from those things, and they probably could possibly buy some advertising, or not advertising. They probably, whatever, if it leads to a sale, probably percent of that sale from the advertiser probably goes to that as well too.
Oh shit! No, dude. So I just went to the affiliate.itunes.apple.com site. It basically says the affiliate program allows you to earn commission on qualifying revenue by linking to Apple Music and iTunes content like music, apps, books, and more. Place affiliate links to songs, albums, artists, apps, and more on your website, app, or email. So any site that says, "Oh, you like the song," like on the video, and puts an iTunes link there, they're not going to get anything from the iTunes link. Then.
Yeah, of course, man. Come on.
That kind of sucks.
That's what I'm saying. That little part there, when they're talking about killing affiliates, that sounded a little bit bigger to me than we were making it. And I didn't mean to stop the other story.
No, it's a big deal. It is a big deal.
But like the article said, it's your road to 1 trillion.
Yeah, but this is what you call an a-hole move.
Yeah, I mean, it's Apple. It doesn't matter what we talk about it. We can bitch and complain. It's like the MacBook Pro, where yes, we've said how bad the overheating was and all that, and people still talk about how great it is or whatever. So, I mean, it's not like it's a bad device, but it has issues. That's what happens with Apple products.
Well, you even just put a caveat on that. It's not a bad device. It just has issues. I mean, you're like, there's a certain way that we tend to talk about tech products.
Yeah, I mean, that's
that you know, again, if we're trying to examine the manufacturer claims and you slap a Core i9 label on the side of the box, then we should have a certain expectation as to what that thing can deliver and whether or not Apple can actually live up to that. I think that's fair. But right now, we're sort of in this market of what SEO is going to be popular on what video. So those are the videos that I'm going to focus on making, and what advertisers are going to be scared of content which maybe might be too critical, and it does. I think it overall has a chilling effect on the types of videos and the types of commentary you're likely to find, which is why it's interesting that I think we have been seeing some of these changes. You know, you start pulling the monetization on services like that, I think people are apt to start becoming a lot more honest. You know, Snazzy Q and Linus have some really bad experiences with Apple with the new iMacs, and suddenly they're a lot more honest about their overall Apple experience. And then you get some outliers like a Louise Rossmann just talking about his experiences trying to repair Apple products, and a few more people start becoming a bit more honest about the overall Apple lifestyle that you have to live if you want to be sort of an Apple commentator.
And you ain't getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. And speaking of Apple, Aditya Nell tagged me in a link, which I think we've all heard the news that, at least the rumors that the iPhone 11, or at least the next set of iPhones, will no longer come with 3.5mm dongles.
Nope. No, I mean, you can buy them for $10.
Exactly what they're doing.
You can buy them. They're only $10. $10, and you can plug in headphones again.
Those Beats headphones, man, they're gonna be selling, flying off the shelf.
No, well, it's Beats headphones. Plus, also you get to spend $10 on the dongle, which you can lose. And it's funny though, like it says YouTuber's name, TechSmart. He keeps going. He always does this thing where he goes in to buy AirPods, because he's like, yeah, these things are tiny. He's like, I don't use the dongles because I lose those also. But those products are built that way. Not saying intentionally.
Force you to buy the AirPods over Beats Bluetooth or something with lightning on the other end. Force. You're
just gonna get lightning phones right now.
So I mean,
Tim Cook's doing a Ricky and Morty like this.
So that definitely is
on $1 trillion.
Isn't an issue. I think that's all we have for the news, unless there's anything else. Because
you know what Apple should do? Apple should open up a company that just makes accessories that work for everyone, every device. Because that's really, I think, more and more that's their business model. Just make it your main thing. You're an accessories company now that makes a phone or 2 phones a year. You know, that's about it.
I would agree. I would agree.
I got to take off, guys, but I will hit you guys up in the next one. All right?
Later.
Peace.
Cool. Have a good one, bud.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any news we missed or something?
No, nothing.
I'm at the end. I'm like, I have nothing else to add. Juan, anything you want to share?
I mean, like news and project wise, like I'm also just a little out of the loop. Did some traveling to go visit some family through rural New Mexico, and it's amazing how when you're forced to unplug, you just don't keep up with gadget news. I've got some amazing photos of the Southwest that I'll be sharing on Instagram over the next couple of days, though. So that'll be really exciting. That'll be a lot of fun. Are we into wrapping the show up? Do you want me to go through my spiel of the stuff that's coming up?
I mean, yeah, I was just looking through what is available. I know Nikon is teasing the full frame camera, but
they're full frame mirrorless. So yes. Yeah, I did actually have a conversation. One of Marie's friends from high school used to work for Canon, and we had this really fun conversation out at a park because it was also Marie's high school reunion. And
wow, she grew up in New Mexico. So she grows up. She's from one of the smartest places in the continent.
Totally, and it's totally in keeping with the fact that she's one of the smartest women I know. So, yeah, the interesting thing there is I think they're going to be going with a different mount.
Yeah,
like, if you understand lenses, and one of the reasons why I think Canon and Nikon have been reticent to shift over into mirrorless is they have such a huge and formidable ecosystem of lenses and third-party manufacturers making lenses for their mirrored cameras that for some reason, the fact that you would need an adapter to maintain the distance between the closest lens element and the sensor is a bridge too far for some consumers. And that they want native lenses like you would have in Panasonic or in Sony territory. And so they're gonna have to make a different lens mount for their full frame mirrorless camera, and that seems to be a sticking point for a lot of people. But I don't see where just having that, you know, that gapped adapter to maintain the connectors and just make sure that the lens is the right distance from the mirror, or from the sensor, is too much of a deal breaker. I'm hoping it's something cool, because Canon and Nikon are they're enormous photography juggernaut companies, but I don't think that they've built any reputation with content creators of this generation. And they're going to exist on the momentum of their brand for the last generation of content creators, photographers, and videographers. And they don't have any cred right now with people that are shooting Sony or Micro Four Thirds or any of the other incredible competitors to their setup.
No, I would agree, but I think it's they've been slow. They've been doing that very slow traditional march, and they're really lucky that this space hasn't left them, because it just takes some time, and they can easily catch up, at least with one big jump. But you know, they've been teasing a lot. They've been talking about how like Sony fans would be are going to be shaking in their boots or might switch. I don't think so. I mean, I think, you know, that whole idea. Even I myself, like, again, I just switched to the A7 III. It's not a matter of having something as a distance. For me, clearly, it's just a matter of buying something else. You know, rather than me, you know, being able to use a previous Canon or Nikon lens or something like that. Like buying that extra adapter, depending on how much it costs, you know, it's not going to be like, I don't think it's going to be like $100 or something.
Well, but that's just it. Is when you start getting into solid mainline or mainstream production, a couple $100 on a quality, well-built, solid, weatherproofed adapter with all of the right contacts so that your electronics work the way that they should is not a bridge too far. It's kind of like in the world of recording.
Oh, it's a bridge too far.
A home USB mic is fine for some podcasty applications in the setup that you might have in your home, your living room, your office, something like that. But there is a reason why when you step up, $1,000 is not a bridge too far for an individual microphone free of any other accessory support, you know, USB connector, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the thing. I mean, if you were shopping a full frame camera experience, having that high quality adapter to maintain your investment in Nikon glass is perfectly reasonable. That's just, again, it's interesting because you've got sort of a techie response to this, which I'm sure is going to be negative. You know, like, oh, they think they can out Sony. I love my Sony. And then you start playing that brand identification game, like I'm a Sony shooter, so screw Nikon. And then it just becomes an echo chamber. And I think this is another reason why Canon and Nikon have been hesitant to get into this space, is because you have to court a very different audience than the sort of traditional photography set.
I think it's the opposite. I think they wasted time to get into this space. This is something they should have done.
Oh no, I completely agree with you there. That if they had been the leaders in this space, we wouldn't even be having conversations like this. I wouldn't be bothering using Panasonic for my main camera system. I'd still be on Canon. I was a diehard Canon shooter up until I still have my 7D. Mm-hmm. But that's also, you know, that's a, you know, if wishes were horses, you know, I'd have enough magical fairy points to buy a unicorn, you know, like it's just sort of speculation, like what would this market look like if they had done something completely different than what they did. I don't disagree with you, but here in the here and now, they realize, I think, that their dominance over this market is not a foregone conclusion, and now they're reacting. So again, we can totally admit the Nikon mirrorless camera and the upcoming rumors on a Canon mirrorless camera are emergency reactions to market trends that are now getting out of their control. So they are too late. But if they're going to join the conversation in earnest, and one of their solutions is, you know, make sure that your EF mount lenses on Canon are compatible with some future mirrorless setup through an adapter, then I think that's totally fine. But I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. Like, they're going to make the same kind of aspersions on that as they would to like living the dongle life in Apple land, when it's not really an apples to apples comparison.
True. I did also send another article saying Google declares Android phones can have 2 notches at most.
Oh, that should have been our uselessness.
Yeah, I mean, could you relate on that? Because I'm still trying to catch up.
Yeah,
okay, so apparently there was this concern at Google that when Android P delivered better notch compatibility, that a manufacturer might decide that they want more than 1 notch on a side. Maybe they'd want notches on the skinnier sides of a phone. Maybe they'd want 2 notches up at the top of the screen. This was a burning fear at Google that they had to put out a design guideline saying you can have 2 notches on a phone on the shorter side. So you can have a notch at the top of the phone and you can have a notch at the bottom of the phone, but no notches on the sides. And you can't put multiple notches on one side. So this, I'm really glad that Google is taking this problem by the reins, leading them by the nose, making sure that we don't have any wacky hijinks or shenanigans on something that no manufacturer was ever going to do. So thanks, Google. Thanks for fixing that problem that didn't exist.
Yeah, and that is my answer to that, Adi.
Drugs are bad for you. That's all I'm going to say. Drugs are bad for you.
No, let's just call it what it is. Crack is whack. Okay.
Crack
is
whack.
Crack is whack. Okay.
Don't do the crack.
Else you come up with ideas like this. Okay. That's what happens when you do the crack.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. I guess we've come to the end of the show. Next week is Galaxy Note 9 launch. There's a lot of stuff. I want you guys to tell us what you want to see from that. Juan, will you be there as well?
No, I'm not going to be heading out. Unfortunately, I'm already booked on jobs here in LA, so I have to pay rent. I can't pay to make a commercial for Samsung this go around. Sorry, Samsung.
All right.
I like making money, and YouTube ain't paying me to.
Yeah, I hear you, but we will be there. So.
I know, because you can walk there.
It's not my fault you live on the West Coast, bro.
That's all I'm gonna say is me and TK have been shooting some videos out on the West Coast, and you guys are gonna be super jealous that you can't come join us, Mister. I go to baseball games with all of my East Coast friends.
I mean, it's not my fault Motorola invited me. Are you trying to like just flesh out some grievances? Oh man, let's talk. Are you angry? Are you pissed, man? Like seriously, bro?
Not at you. Not at you. It's just sometimes it is hard being a West Coast techie. I'm just saying.
It's kind of weird. You would think being a West Coast techie would be, a lot more fun. Because that's where these companies are really based out of.
I gotta give the West Coast shout out in that I've been to so many West Coast events that fell totally flat because West Coasters are total flakes. So I was at an Alcatel event. They had like Eventbrite tickets. It was supposed to be really hot. They were overbooked, and we got there. And I think, if I remember correctly, for it being a public event, only 1 out of every 7 people who RSVP'd actually showed up.
Oh, damn.
And so you do get into that vibe. If you do anything in LA, you know that a ton of people are going to flake. And that's just the LA vibe. Like, you set up a party, you set up an event, and it's going to be tragic. San Francisco gets really lit up about tech events. So I will make the day trip. I'll go hop a flight, fly up, grab my Uber, go hit the event, and fly back the same night. And that's awesome. I love doing that. That's where I did the MateBook with Huawei. Was like, I'll pay on my own dime because it's like $100. I'll go get my round trip ticket and I'll go hit it. But yeah, LA events are really tough to pull off well.
Okay.
I think I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
I hear you. But yeah, we will be there, coverage, that kind of stuff. So let us know what you want to see and that kind of stuff. Juan, what do you have on your channel, and what can we expect?
So I've got some cool accessories coming out, some accessory reviews coming out. The Raven. This is something that's been floating around on like crowdfunding sites, and it's finally a real product. So I can finally talk about it like a real product. But it's a Raven Dash system. LTE connected cameras, GPS enabled. It's an Android device on its own for in-car DVR, and then also some really cool security features. So I'm going to be driving around LA in 100-degree heat to wrap up my video review on that. I finally have my hands on a P20 Pro. So while everyone else is doing Note 8 coverage, Note 9 coverage, F me. I'm going to be circling back and really running this camera, pushing it to its limit, seeing what I can do to test some of the assertions from Huawei. I know it's a little late, but it's still one of the most important phone cameras of the year, and I think we need to spend a little time digging into the performance on the P20. We're going to be doing a challenge, me and TK, swapping our 2 favorite phones of 2018 so far. So we're going to have some videos coming out at that. We actually did a field trip yesterday where we went and shot some stuff out at the LA Zoo. So we're going to be working together on a couple collaborations coming up, which is going to be really fun. And then, of course, Newegg Now every Thursday. Just this last week, we did a whole episode on streaming tech. So I can't even claim credit for this one. Trisha produced the hell out of a segment for getting people up and running on game streaming. So how to build, what kind of PCs you might want to look at, what type of streaming you're going to do, how to host your Twitch content. It was a great conversation that Trisha led on that. And lastly, I'm just super proud of me that I finally have merch. So the people on my Patreon helped me sort of design a mug, set of mug logos. So this is the Megapickle mug in green, more than just the Megapickles. And then we also have the Megapickle mug in black. And those 2 are now up on Teespring. You can find them on somegadgetguy.com. And Teespring is also linking. It should happen over the next couple days, but it's also linking to my YouTube channel. So these should pop up under my YouTube videos. They're on sale through the weekend. They're going to be a little cheaper over the weekend, and then next week they're going to go up to the sort of recommended full price to kind of go. But so far, I've already sold 12, and I think it's 2-to-1 black to green. So the black mug is winning the sales race right now, which is just kind of interesting. I like kind of collecting that.
What, a Megapickle mug in black versus a Megapickle mug in green? And
I'm getting
the green.
The black mug with the green. I honestly think it's because pickles are green, and the pickles are green on the black mug.
Okay.
But the pickles are black on the green mug.
Oh, no. I see why now. I see why. Yeah, the black one would sell more. Yeah. I was like, why would anyone buy a Megapickle cup in black? No, it should be.
Look, let's just move on because anyway, share the link so we can put it up for people so that they can check it out and get their mugs. For us on the channel, we've got a few videos this week. We had our Sony A8F OLED review. That is interesting TV. Check that out. LG sent us a bunch of speakers, the PK3, 5, and 7. I was quite impressed with what they had to offer. You guys should take a listen yourself because LG really have kind of set a new standard for me for portable Bluetooth speakers, the kind of audio quality, how loud it gets, and how clear it is at the same time. I think it's something that people like. We also have a interesting video for you guys. This is kind of like a 1-year review talking about the Galaxy Note 8 moving to the Note 9, and especially from someone who uses a Note 8 as an actual user. So when I say, Sam's also a Note 8 user, but since the Note 8 came out, this is the device I've always used. Whether I'm reviewing something else, it becomes a secondary for a while, but it's still a device I use in hand. So moving from one device to another to see how that actually pans out. And then moving forward, we have a video coming up for this guy. This is the Surface Go. 5 reasons why you should pick this up, because I am pleasantly surprised about this device so far. So
the bezel's been reduced.
Nah, it's still the same. Like,
Forget me. Forget that, Ben. I'm done.
No, in that case, I'm gonna buy 3 extra to make up for Sam. Just
Yeah,
I like having
Right,
some
yeah,
bezel
nice,
space.
nice.
Now, and if you don't want bezels, then there's this guy here, which is the Tab S4. And I will have the review for that next week. Going to have a lot of Note 9 stuff as well, so check that out. And then this is just going out a question to all you guys who are watching. Whoever lives in Florida, Miami area, I'm taking a little mini vacation next weekend, which also means there's no show. But I'll like suggestions of where to go, check out, things to see, that kind of fun stuff. So if you've been to Miami or you are from Miami, that kind of stuff, leave those comments down there, and it will be fun to check them out, and we could do something around it. But thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Juan Bagnell, for joining us as always. Check him out at Some Gadget Guy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, IGTV whenever he drops the IGTV video. And also he has
it'll ever happen, but
he has a show on Newegg with Trisha Hirschberger at 1 p.m. on Thursdays.
Next week is going to be all about Razer. I forgot to mention that.
Okay, so yeah, Razer fans, go check that out. And of course, Sam is Black Iron _ on Twitter, part of the Booredatwork network. Yeah, he's Black Iron Man. That's pretty much it. And myself, it is Thunder E, Booredatwork, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, IGTV. The Colonel videos are up there, so you can go check that out and enjoy. He just dropped a new one with some new dating tips. Yeah, stay tuned and always enjoy entertainment.
Bam.